A very good day to our lecturer, Sir AFIFI. I'm Engyan Hao, matrix number 293503, and my group and I would like to present to you with the topic, the use of economy as a tool of foreign policy in the case of Japan's foreign aid. This research aims to explore the multifaceted role of the economy as a tool in foreign policy, and it shed light on the complexities and implications of using the economy as a foreign policy tool, focusing on the case of Japan's foreign aid. This study investigates how Japan utilizes economic assistance as a tool to advance its foreign policy objectives, enhance bilateral relations, and promote its influence on the global stage. Foreign policy is a set of guidelines, decisions, and actions of a state with other states and international actors in the global arena to ensure their own national interests. Foreign policy often emerges suddenly, shaped by foreign developments and remarkable events. The objectives of foreign policy are multifaceted, aiming to safeguard and promote a country's national interests and security while contributing to global peace, stability, and cooperation. Various tools have been applied in the implementation of foreign policy, such as diplomacy, propaganda, intelligence, economics, and military. This study focuses on economy as a tool of foreign policy, and it will be deeply analyzed by providing a case study on Japan's foreign aid to gain better understanding of the relevance of it in contemporary international politics. As one of the world's major economic power, Japan's foreign aid practices have been characterized by a strong commitment to international development and diplomacy. Over the years, Japan's foreign aid had played a crucial role in improving the lives of millions of people worldwide, while strengthening its global standing as a responsible and initiative-taking international player. In short, Japan's foreign aid emphasizes on promoting economic growth, poverty reduction, infrastructure development in recipient countries, fostering strategic alliances, and maintaining its diplomatic relations. The rationale of this study is motivated by the significance of understanding how countries strategically employ their economic resources to achieve diplomatic objectives and promote national interests on the global stage. By examining Japan's foreign aid practices, this research aims to shed light on the complexities of utilizing economy as a tool in foreign policy. The findings from this research are expected to offer valuable insights into the broader intersection of economic and foreign policy, contributing to a deeper understanding of how countries leverage their economic power to shape international relations. The first problem statement of this study is, how is economy being used as a tool in foreign policy? How Japan utilizes foreign aid as a tool in its foreign policy? Third, what are the primary motivations behind Japan's extensive foreign aid program? Fourth, what is the impact and effectiveness of Japan's foreign aid on recipient countries in terms of development and economic growth? Fifth, how does Japan's foreign aid program compare with the foreign aid programs of China? The objectives of this study are to identify the use of economy as a tool in foreign policy, to study Japan's foreign policy, to discuss the primary motivations behind Japan's extensive foreign aid program, to examine the impacts and effectiveness of Japan's foreign aid on recipient countries in terms of development and economic growth, and fifth, to compare and analyze Japan's foreign aid program with foreign aid programs of China. This research employs a mixed method approach in our research methodology, combining quantitative and qualitative analysis to provide a comprehensive understanding of using economy as a tool in foreign policy and Japan's foreign aid practices. Qualitative analysis involve conducting an extensive review of scholarly literature, official government documents, academic works, and policy reports relating to Japan's foreign aid program. This approach will help to identify key historical developments, shift in policy's priorities, and underlying motivations behind Japan's foreign aid initiatives, thus offering valuable insights into the broader context of Japan's foreign policy objectives and how economic considerations are integrated into their diplomatic approaches. Quantitative analysis will involve the examination of relevant statistical data on Japan's foreign aid disbursements over a specified period. This data will include information on the amount of aid allocated to different recipient countries, sector of focus like infrastructure, education, or healthcare, and the type of assistance that Japan provides, like grants, loans, or even technical supports. The integration of qualitative and quantitative approaches will provide detailed analysis of Japan's foreign aid practices, allowing the research to draw well-informed conclusions on the effectiveness and implications of Japan's use of economy as a tool in its foreign policy.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is MOHAMAD IZZUDDIN, but you can call me Haki for short, and my matrix number is 291171. In this lovely occasion, I would like to explain to you two tools of tools of economic as instrument of foreign policy. One is the trade agreements. So government authorized foreign policies determine how countries relate to each other, considering their shared interests. Military forces may be used, but intergalactic societies have reduced military disputes between the countries. And as well as trading is not a military option for securing national security interests through bilateral agreements with other countries. Trade decision after manpower and economic growth and can shape how individuals view trading partners positively as allies or negatively if they suffer from trade related. So they can lower the trade barrier. So as they are able to lower the trade barrier, so they would minimize, so they would reduce the number of wars that cause to acquire each nation's national interest. We use economic as well for foreign aid. Both trade and aid contribute significantly to economic development. Economists widely support the idea that international trade fosters economic growth. The Washington Consensus Reform Program encouraged developing countries to reduce trade barriers and limit government intervention to stimulate growth through export, promoting efficient resource allocation and technology transfer. So basically, a foreign aid adopts liberalism that caused them to that help them to be able to move freely, and also with the help of the government to protect and support the action. Foreign assistance can help countries overcome resource limitations that hinder their economic progress. Governments prioritize equality and are willing to take on more risk than private entities, directing aid towards nations in need of resources for development. One more time again, so foreign aid is one of the liberalism act that nations can use economic as their tool in foreign policy. Thank you very much.
Use of economy in the foreign as a tool in the foreign policy. So we can see from the economic diplomacy. Basically, the economic diplomacy is a strategic approach employed by states to enhance the cooperation between nations. So there is also the existence of the economic interests being promoted and achieved through the bilateral and multilateral negotiations. This concept of the bilateral and multilateral negotiation relies the concept of the free trade agreement. For example, that's agree on the certain obligations that may affect trade in goods and services by reducing trade barriers such as tariff and quota. For example, the ASEAN-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements (AJCEP) is foster the closer economic cooperation and also boost the trade flows and provides a framework for investments facilitations. And also this also defenses of these distinct challenge from the stemming of the dynamic global economy and geopolitical reviews, and also the economic like the world full of the economic uncertainties, and also the fluctuation in commodity prices or the currency exchange rates and could happen anytime. So the geopolitical rivalries such as the US-China's tension may also cause the trade disputes, alternating the dynamics of the international relations. So since the countries are dependent to each other in terms of economics, and also the strong economic action against each other, so this also may be reluctant to take the due concerns about the potential of the negative risk. And the next one is about the currency manipulations. Basically, the governments and the central banks can employ various monetary policies and currencies toward their general policies in the currencies. But the term of the currency manipulation is basically used to describe the policies by the governments and the central banks in some countries that artificially lower the value of the currency. So the manipulation of the currency is basically will weaken the currency rates and so that they can sell the country currencies while buying the foreign currency. According to the International Monetary Funds and the World Trade Organizations, the currency manipulation is actually prohibited by the order to gain a trade advantage as stated in the IMF principles. And also, the international reserve is an external asset that is sustained and controlled by the central banks. The limitation and the external vulnerability by maintaining foreign policy liquidity can be absorbed during crisis, and including the assistance of the government matters of foreign exchange needs and external debt obligations. The international reserve is also an external asset that sustained the related for intervention of the exchange market and going to affect the currency exchange rates and any related purpose. And also the using of the tool currency as a tool in the foreign policy has a significant implications that also have a positive and negative impact towards the country economy and geopolitical policies. The governments often moderate the currencies to aim the specific goals and objective in the international framework. But the using of the currency as a tool in the foreign policy can also cause the tensions and trigger among the financial also causing the financial instability that is going to impact the country internal economy. This one is about the economic sanction. Usually, the economic sanction is basically to impose the restriction or penalties on another country in objective of achieving specific political mileage or economies and the security objectives. The economic sanctions are basically useful in the terms of the counter-terrorism, anti-drugs use, resolving conflicts and human rights, and it also will tense any country with reductions in trade as a decline in their tradings and investment flows and their general economic welfare. This also can prevent the country from accessing the global market. The imposing of the economic sanction will certainly achieve the goals of a country's movements. For example, it also can influence the changes of the stance to adopt to the favorable outcome that is needed by the imposing country. For the effectiveness of the sanctions usually depends on the size of the economy, since they are the economic sanctions, and also the supply and demand in the economic structure are interconnected with the successness of the any sanctions that has been imposed. The country that always imposes the economic sanction has the strong economic and not dependent by the other economies. For the examples, the United States of America imposed the sanctions to Russia because the economy does not rely on the Russia supply and demands for in a big amounts of the investment or trade. So this country are not even dependable in the economic sector compared to the other country that cannot stand by their own. And also the economic sanction is not only one of the ways to avoid the war happens, but also from the sanctions that has been imposed, they also revive the new economy networking for the country that has been imposed the sanctions to found the new allies in their trade and economics activities.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam biruan ya. My name is Muhammad AIZAD NAJMIE bin MAIZAN and my metric number is 29291X. Today I would like to elaborate about our case studies, which is the Japan foreign aids. The Japan foreign aids already started as early 1950 with the name of the post-World War II reconstruction. The Japan, based on its experience, it helped the other countries to develop and reconstruct their countries. But that's in the past, and now it's still active. Japan foreign aids is now actively involved in the humanitarian and development cooperation that's still ongoing till this day. So let's see the next part for the more information about this Japan foreign aids. Japan has a long history of utilizing its foreign aids as an integral part of its foreign policy. Foreign policy serves as a main for Japan to promote its national interests, enhance its international standing, foster regional stability, and contribute to global development. This is some of the function of the Japan foreign aids. The first one is economic cooperation. Japan foreign aids, often referred to as Official Development Assistance (ODA), is primarily focused on promoting economic cooperation and development in recipient countries. Japan provides financial assistance, technical expertise, and infrastructure development to support various sectors such as transportation, energy, agriculture, irrigation, and healthcare. The second one is diplomatic objective. Foreign aid is used as a tool for diplomatic engagement and to strengthen bilateral and multilateral relationships. Japan strategically provides aid to countries that are important for its security interests, trade relationship, or to counterbalance the influence of other countries in certain region, especially the influence of the China. Third is ASEAN development. Japan places particular emphasis on promoting development in Asia. It aims to foster economic growth and stability in the region, which not only benefit recipient countries but also enhance Japan's economic interest by creating new market and trade opportunities. Last but not least is public diplomacy and soft power. Japan utilizes foreign aid to enhance its soft power and public diplomacy efforts. By providing assistance to developing other countries, Japan seeks to cultivate goodwill, enhance its image as a responsible global actor, and build long-term relationships based on mutual trust and cooperation. Thank you. Japan prioritizes its foreign aid recipient sector, and regional distribution have evolved over time based on its national interest, international obligation, and geopolitical consideration. While there may be some shift and adjustment, the following are some key priorities that have been observed in recent years. The first one is aid recipients. There is three types of aid recipients, which is the first one is ASEAN countries, two is African countries, and the third one is Pacific Island nation. Japan places a high priority on providing aid to ASEAN countries, especially Southeast Asia. This is partly due to historical ties and Japan's economic interests in the region. Countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and Myanmar have been significant recipients of Japanese aid. Japan also has been increasing its aid to African countries to foster economic development, promote stability, and address various challenges such as poverty, health, and infrastructure development. The last one is the Pacific Island nation. Japan recognizes the importance of strengthening its engagement with Pacific Island nations to enhance regional stability and address climate change and natural disaster. The second priority is for the sector development. Japan has historically focused on infrastructure development as a core sector in its policy. This includes support for transportation, roads such as road, bridge, and ports, energy such as power generation, renewable energy projects, and the last one is water supply system. The next sector is human development. Education, healthcare, and capacity building programs are also significant sectors in Japan's foreign aid. Japan aims to empower human resources in recipient countries to support sustainable development. The last one is disaster management. Given Japan's own experience with natural disaster, it actively assists other countries in disaster preparedness, emergency response, and post-disaster reconstruction. The last priorities is in the regional distribution, which is in Southeast Asia, South Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. For the Southeast Asia, Japan has a strong emphasis on Southeast Asia, both for economic and strategic reasons. These countries are seen as an important partner for economic cooperation, trade, and investment. For the South Asia, countries such as India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka have been also recipients of Japanese aid due to their growing economic and regional significance. The third one is Africa. Japan has been increasing aid to African countries to foster economic growth and support development initiatives in areas such as agriculture, healthcare, and education. The last one is in the Middle East. Japan provides aid to countries in the Middle East to support economic and infrastructure development as well as promote stability in the region. It is important to note that Japan's aid priority may be influenced by geopolitical development, emerging challenges, and international commitment. As such, the specific recipient sector and the general distribution of Japanese aid can be evolved over time to align with changing circumstances and opportunities for cooperation. Next, we move to our next part, which is the motivation for the Japan foreign aid. There is three types of motivation that motivate the Japan foreign aid. The first one is economic interest, the second one is diplomatic objective, and the third one is global leadership aspiration. Now we will look to economic interest. The first economic interest that lead to Japan foreign aid is one, resource access. Japan, as a resource nation, seeks to secure access to vital resources such as oil, gas, mineral, and agricultural products for other countries. Foreign policy initiative and its program often align with security this resource to support its industrial base and ensure energy security. The second one is market access. Japan foreign policy aims to promote trade and investment opportunities in international market. It seeks to create favorable conditions for Japanese business to access foreign market and expand their global reach. And the third one is overseas investment. Japan encourages outward foreign direct investment to strengthen economic ties with other nations and ensure a stable supply of raw material. Foreign policy initiatives often support Japanese companies in investment abroad, especially in Malaysia. We got Honda. The second motivation is diplomatic objective. In this part, we will see that there is regional stability. Japan seeks to foster peace and stability in its region, particularly in Asia. It engages in diplomatic effort and its program to promote dialogue, cooperation, and confidence-building measures among neighboring countries. Next one is strategic alliance. Japan aims to building strong diplomatic alliance, particularly in like-minded democracies and countries sharing common interests. The US-Japan alliance is a crucial pillar of Japan foreign policy and security strategy. The last one is conflict resolution. Japan support diplomatic efforts and contribute to international peacekeeping operation to address conflict and humanitarian crisis in different regions. It seeks to be a constructive player in conflict resolution and post-conflict reconstruction. The third type of motivation for the Japan foreign is global leadership aspiration. The first one is multilateral engagement. Japan actively participate in and support multilateral organizations such as the United Nations, World Trade Organization, and World Bank. Its aim to take on leadership role and contribute to the shaping of global norm and institution. The second one is climate change and sustainable development. Japan is committed to addressing global challenges like climate change and sustainable development. It provides aids and participates in international efforts to promote environmental conservation and green technologies. The last one is peace and security. Japan aspires to look a larger role in promoting global peace and security, while adhering to its post-war constitutional restriction. It contributes to peacekeeping operation, anti-piracy effort, and international counter-terrorism initiative. It is essential to recognize that Japan foreign policy is dynamic and can be influenced by geopolitical shift, domestic politics, and changing international circumstances. The country's foreign policy decisions are often made with a careful balance of its economic interests, diplomatic objective, and aspiration to contribute to global governance and stability. Thank you.
Hello, my name is FARHAN, metric number 294150. So I will continue with the impacts of Japan's foreign aid. First, I would like to discuss about the development. So basically what we can see is that Japan has contributed significantly in the sector of infrastructure. This is because Japan wanted to benefit the Japanese manufacturers to invest in other countries. So Japan has promoted these manufacturers through funding towards many infrastructural projects across the world. For example, we can see is that Japan has pledged to fund 81% out of total of the Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project on a 50-year. It is expected to be completed in 2026. So this, we can see that Japan has promoted their self-interest in making sure their manufacturing industries can be promoted throughout the world while maintaining the foreign aid by them. Secondly, I want to discuss about the long-term consequence. So basically is that Japan has promoted its foreign aid for development cause. They will target countries basically like the allies, for example like Southeast Asian countries. For example, we can see is that through Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA, they have contributed through the Thailand's Eastern Seaboard region by supporting the infrastructural and industrial growth in the region. So basically what we can see here is that Japan has underlined the comprehensive development plans, improve infrastructure, capacity building, and information exchange in achieving sustainable development goals. Next, I would like to continue with the needs-based approach of Japan in contributing their foreign aid. So basically, Japan has in 2011 they had one of the most catastrophic earthquake and tsunami that has devastated the nation, which kills over 1,000 lives. And with this, Japan has through this plan has included long-term rehabilitation and reconstruction projects in other countries, in addition to immediate catastrophe relief. From that experience, they learn and they implement the ways of they overcome the after effects of the 2011 tsunami and earthquake by implementing them in the foreign aid, by assisting countries that also experience the same catastrophe. So this has been done to assist communities to recover and strengthening their resilience to future catastrophes, was to support sustainable development efforts. And finally, I would like to continue with the partnerships and collaborations of Japan through their foreign aid. So basically, Japan is cooperating with the UNHCR, addressing the refugee issue across several regions. Japan has provided relief and support to the refugees through UNHCR by demonstrating effective coordination and teamwork to making sure that this displaced populace can be provided with the right health care in some areas or some countries in which the healthcare is not available. For example, we can see is that Japan has provided the country of Nigeria with a 9.4 million kron for medical equipment as part of the Africa Health and Wellbeing Initiative. This is to continuously in a collaborative manner, making sure the global community by Japan to promote their country's foreign policy by the foreign aid. Next, I would like to continue with the comparison between China and Japan's foreign aid practices. So basically, for the first point I would like to highlight here is that both nations has different focus and priorities. For China, China usually focuses infrastructure development on its overseas contributions as part of the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI). This is to making sure that its foreign aid can be contributed to sustain their China's geographically, economically manner. And then for Japan, Japan has focused on several areas by providing institutional creation, healthcare, education, and to alleviate poverty. Japan is focused on the human development and advancement goals as their main priority. So basically is that Japan will focus together with the democratic governance, environmental protection, and human rights rather than the Chinese one. And secondly, what I would like to highlight here is that the comparison in terms of aid size. China has now become one of the greatest foreign aid donors thanks to the nation's huge growth in budget. And then as for Japan, Japan has with its long-standing official development assistance (ODA) program, its funding comes in the form of grants and low interest loans. And then I want to continue with the difference on the BRI's corridors, which is the terms of the countries, the recipient countries accept the donations. For China, they have focused mainly contributing the foreign aid on the nations in Latin America, Asia, and Africa. For Japan, they have focused on the countries to help them. For the same countries, but basically what we can see the difference here is that both nations can focus differently based on their geostrategic factors and their necessities. And fourthly, I would like to discuss about the fourth and last advice would be the governance acceptance by both nations. So basically is that China, when contributing their foreign aid, they will not take into consideration of no matter what countries that country is practicing their politics, they will not they will make it an exemption and will just continue to contribute the foreign aid, comparing to Japan, which will only give the foreign aid to the countries that will accept democratic way of government, in which that if that nation is basically is a dictatorship country, Japan will not ever contribute its foreign aid to that country, compared to China, which takes an exceptional stance while giving out their foreign aid. So basically, as a conclusion, both nations are more major foreign aid donors, but both has different perspectives and focuses in every of its principles and constitutions, which has been the primary reasons for both nations' foreign aid policy to be created in every of these countries, Japan and China. Thank you.
In conclusion, the study on the use of economy as a tool in foreign policy, with a focus on Japan's foreign aid practices, has provided valuable insights into the complexities and significance of employing economic resources in diplomatic strategies. Japan's foreign aid practices, driven by a sense of duty, economic interests, and global leadership aspirations, have been instrumental in promoting economic cooperation, infrastructural development, and human resource enhancement in recipient countries. The impact of Japan's foreign aid is evident through the improvements in infrastructure, long-term development, and diplomatic ties in various countries worldwide. As the international political landscape continues to evolve, the relevance of the economy as a tool in foreign policy in shaping international relations remains a critical area of study. Understanding how economies can be employed as instruments or tools of diplomatic power provides an essential perspective for comprehending the dynamic interaction between nations in the 21st century. Moving forward, further research in this area will continue to contribute to a deeper understanding of how countries navigate the complex interplay between economy and foreign policy to achieve their objectives and foster a more interconnected and cooperative global community.